Good morning and welcome to another edition of SciTech Long Island. Here with us today is Dr. Natalia Rogers from the Dowling College out here on Long Island. She is the director of the Long Island Youth Summit, a competition bringing over 300 talented high school students together for the past 7 years to discuss advancements in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and technology.
And math.
And math, yes. So, Dr. Natalia, welcome.
Thank you.
So, how about we start telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a professor of sociology at Dowling College, and I'm also director of American Communities Institute. And so in that capability, I'm a research scientist. We study communities and socio-economic well-being. And I'm also a co-chair of the steering committee of the Long Island Youth Summit that I founded. The summit, if you're interested, started in 2010, and this will be our 7th youth summit. And it's growing. It's a wonderful event. Actually, it's a year-long program for high school students. Students start with looking at the website, www.dowling.edu/youth summit. It's one word.
We'll put that on the screen at the end of the show also. Yeah.
And then you can find 3 different categories of topics. We do rotate topics periodically because we have a steering committee of high school teachers and also the businesses and nonprofits who support the summit. So this year, we're looking at the summit on April 8th in 2016. Mm-hmm. Students already started in 2015 in September, and we are featuring 3 broad categories of topics. The first one is environmental category. And so anyone who is interested in environment, but of course environment closely relates to economy and also quality of life. And so we look at the environment not as a very isolated type of body. We have a number of topics, and these topics include renewable energy. So we have the latest trends, and when students submit their projects, and we will get to the point of how do you submit your project. But the experts at the summit, we probably will feature Richie Kessel, who is a former chairman of New York Power Authority and LIPA. We would have one of the senior managers of National Grid. We will have people from PSEG and also from solar companies such as Empower Solar. So students can work on the solutions in that area. Other environmental topics include the impact of climate change on Long Island and overall. We're dealing with protection of water, which is critical for us because now we're beginning to hear that our aquifers are being polluted, and they were very pristine.
We saw in Flint, Michigan, a lot of the water. It's like poisonous. I've seen pictures on Facebook like of hospitals with yellow water. Poisonous, can't drink it. Yeah,
we don't want to end up like this here.
Absolutely.
And generally we were very proud of our quality of water because our aquifers were not polluted. But now we're seeing some pollution rising, and that's a huge issue because we live on the island.
Yeah.
And obviously, also polluted water brings all sorts of medical conditions that are not
I just
good.
want to jump in for the audience out there that's watching, teachers and students. This is a very interesting forum to get high school students involved in. One of the purposes of this show is to give you a background to what seems to be an artistic presentation of a variety of different curriculum topics that students get involved in. And we'll give you some samples of that later. Ben, let's get on to our first question.
Yeah, so I mentioned that the Youth Summit is designed to advance student knowledge on subjects such as science, medicine, business, economy, and leadership. So what developments are you expecting out of these few areas?
Well, our policy or our philosophy at that conference is that young people are extremely talented. We also think of teachers as the heroes of our nation and the foundation of our nation, because if not for a wonderful teachers that encourage creativity of our young people, really our nation would not be economically strong and so wonderfully powerful and you know, prosperous. So what we are looking for, we're looking for students to go to questions and e-links that are available on the website, and then they get sets of questions, typically 10, that asks them, to review the issues that we have in the particular topics. For example, one of our topics is mental health, well-being, and self-esteem, which actually is a very big issue for high school students.
Bullying especially.
Yes, and also that was a proposal from Northwell, because they said that mental health services are really underfunded. And so if you don't receive them on time, you will have significant issues, and it challenges and communities, because these people are unattended in communities. And it doesn't allow you to reach your creative potential if you are mentally not well. So we expect the students to go research the articles and then come up with the projects and solutions. So how can we improve the mental health services in the community? How we can improve mental health services for young people? And then once the students come up with solutions, we put them together with the experts at the summit and with other students, and then we make a package of those and send it out. And
so we're going to discuss more about the nitty-gritty details. One of the things that fascinates me is there's no expense to schools who get involved in this project. So you obviously have funding to help you. Was that difficult to do in this economy these days?
You know what? We found that, I sit on a number of boards on Long Island, so I know a lot of people who come from organizations which have funds. We found it was not very difficult to convince our sponsors, because they were really excited about the idea of starting young, which is for high school students to participate in thinking about solutions to the problems. So our lead funder is formerly known as Shore LIJ and now is known as Northwell Health. They fund us at a very high level because they see the importance of both, not only for students learning about socio-medical issues such as bullying and mental health, but also learning about community and economy. Because if you think from the point of Northwell, they need employees for all of the positions that they have, and they are not necessarily in the medical field. So finding young people who would be interested in, management, healthcare management, or all sorts of positions that they have, they need to be able to have those young people being interested in economy and other issues early. Right. So that's what interests our funders. Our funders are, for example, we also have Southwest Airlines as one of our funders. Students who win in certain categories get free tickets on Southwest Airlines.
That's interesting. Did you hear that? Free tickets.
Yeah, we do have free tickets.
So this is a free competition. There's great awards. There's a great opportunity to meet lots of local talent and politicians and environmentalists and scientists here on Long Island. Let's wrap up this session. We'll be back in a minute to continue our discussion about the Long Island Youth Summit.
Hi, I'm Seth Green. When it comes to long-distance travel, NASA's got everyone beat. They're driving a rover on Mars, crisscrossing Saturn's moons, and are now exploring interstellar space. That's 12 billion miles away. But you don't have to go to space to see NASA in motion. In fact, no matter how you choose to get around here on Earth, you're probably using NASA technology. Ever see those turned-up tips on airplane wings? They're called winglets, and they came out of NASA research to reduce drag. Winglets save us billions in fuel costs and lower our carbon footprint. NASA technology can be found in your car, too. Discoveries made while observing astronauts in space have led to seat designs that keep you more comfortable on long drives. And advanced materials created by NASA have improved everything from brake pads to engine oil. In the air, on the road, there's more space in your life than you think. To learn more, visit us at www.nasa.gov.
Hi, I'm Matt Damon. I play astronaut Mark Watney in The Martian. In the story, my character is accidentally stranded on Mars. Sending people to Mars and returning them safely is the challenge of a generation. The whole world held its breath when the Curiosity rover landed in 2012. The boot prints of astronauts will follow those rover tracks, thanks to innovations happening today. NASA's journey to Mars begins on the International Space Station, some 250 miles overhead, where we're learning how humans can thrive over long periods without gravity. Future round trips to Mars could take 500 days or longer. This year, NASA launched the first one-year mission to the International Space Station to help prepare for those future journeys. Here at home, people are working across the country on the new Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System rocket that will carry astronauts farther than ever before. When we invent new technologies for exploration, it benefits all of humanity. But more than that, the journey to Mars will forever change our history books, rewriting what we know about the red planet and expanding a human presence deeper into the solar system. Follow NASA's journey to Mars at www.nasa.gov.
Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Natalia Rogers talking about the Long Island Youth Summit. So for many years, the arts have been under economical cutbacks in many school districts. One of the things I love about this forum for students, for high school students, is that the submissions all fall under the artsy venue. For my notes here, it says that students can enter and submit essays, art, photography projects, video or film projects. In this world of science and technology, and why did you choose that venue for students to submit projects?
Well, we strongly believe in arts, and honestly, creativity, even in technology and science, is very closely connected to the world of arts and how they make you think, you know, and how you can imagine things. So for us, the idea that students are talented in many dimensions and they can pick and choose their format is very important. Besides, you know, we have a visual arts department at the college which can really evaluate properly, you know, what are the art submissions. And we found that students flourish with that. They really like making videos.
Right. So if I may interrupt, there are students out there that are kind of turning away from science competitions because they don't want to do the classic science research. They don't want to do the paperwork, and they don't want to do the hands-on experimentation. But they're extremely creative, and they have a strong interest in science and technology. And you know, when you bring up topics like climate change and water quality and quality of life on Long Island, the environment, we're giving these kids a way to get involved in the local politics, the economy of Long Island. And you know, there are curriculum developers right now looking to come up with ways, how do you assess a teacher on how creative they are in their instructional abilities? And my answer to that is, you teach creativity by allowing children to be creative, and that's what fascinates me about your summit. Mm-hmm. This is all about creative expression.
Yes, Pete, that's very well said. And also, when students do creative projects, they learn quite a bit about science.
Yes,
you know, in
absolutely.
order to position your river where it needs to be positioned and do all sorts of things, it's a very informed, it's an art informed by science.
Yes.
And that's a form of learning, because if you have this creative streak, which you like something, you like doing something, you're much more likely to be involved and much more likely to learn more.
Right.
And that's our philosophy.
And this is why we're seeing the national evolution from STEM to STEAM, because it's putting the arts in the middle of curriculum, which is, I think, where it belongs, and I'm all in favor of that.
Oh, I think arts are critically important to the foundation of our nation's economic and educational well-being.
Good. That's
and
a good plug right there.
It should be at the center, yes.
Ben, over to you.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you discussed briefly some rewards, like you have talked about Southwest Airlines, free airfare, and we just saw a video on bullying that was made by students. It won one of the competitions. What are some awards that kids could get from giving in such a great submission?
Well, generally they get a piece of paper saying they won. They are
impressive.
a winner. Yeah, they can put it on their resume. Believe it or not, it does matter because we see many of our award winners to go to some of the top universities. Of course, through
It shows
their
loads
own
of creativity.
Yes, it shows loads of creativity. Typically, we give them a certificate of eligibility for a scholarship for Dowling College. The top winner gets a $5,000. The category winners get $2,000. But that only applies to the college if you want to go there. Other than that, we get Southwest Airlines awards. Some students get scholarships. Last year, we gave a Diana Coleman scholarship, and Diana was a community activist, and she was on our steering committee and one of the co-founders of the summit. She unfortunately passed away last year. She was an African-American woman who was a great activist, and we gave it to two students from Westbury School who created a fantastic video. So this is the range. Well, teachers, we have one of our sponsors, and it's Estee Lauder companies. They really believe in our teachers, so they send us bags of their merchandise to give out to teachers.
Wonderful. So how many school districts are involved?
Well, it's growing every year. So last year we had 36 school districts being involved. It depends of the school district. One cost of the summit is that you have to transport your students to the event.
Right.
You have to take a bus.
Which is out east in...
which is you go at Oakdale campus of Dowling College. Some schools which really have no budget for bus transportation get funded by our funders. For example, National Grid is very active at that, and they would fund the school if the school officially has no budget for outside trips.
Right.
So that's the system that we use.
So we spoke before that you're almost at capacity in terms of the number of students, but you're looking to expand the number of school districts that are involved. So how do you promote the competition? We'll come back to that in the next segment, but how do we get the word out? That's what I'd like you to think about now as we close out this segment, so that we can get the word out to other school districts, high economic school districts, low economic school districts. We want to get the word out to as many kids as we can that there's a place for you in this summit.
To express yourself, especially.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your show. That's one of the ways to promote the summit.
All right, and we will put this TV show out to the world. We'll do our best.
We'll do our best, yes.
The first summit was on the cover of Newsday. The second summit has a huge article about the person who won the top award, also on the second page of Newsday. Last year, the summit was on Channel 12 and also on FIAS. So we do get the coverage for the event. In addition to that, really, it's a word of mouth in many cases. We do send letters to every superintendent on Long Island.
All right, on that note, let's cut, and we'll be back after this short video.
Change.
Influence other people, especially this year. It's like
It makes you feel really good because in high school or even
outside of the classroom, over time,
represents
value.
what that means is
putting more youthful jobs on Long Island.
all these transportation options.
Say, hey, we need more diversity.
And so
People can all chill.
This is your show. It has to be the next generation.
All right, welcome back to SciTech Long Island. We're here discussing the Long Island Youth Summit. What I'm interested in, if there are students and teachers out there that are interested, I'm glad to hear it's not too late. What is the actual process? I understand that kids can work in teams from 1 to 10 students. So a teacher or a student sees this program, this sounds really cool to them. What do they do next?
Well, they can go to the website, which is www.dowling.edu/youth summit, and there is a link there which says "Hold My Spot." So they can click on it and they enter their information. It fills out a form, and then they go to the topics on the sidebar. They click on the topics that they are interested in. It opens up all the e-links and questions for the topic that they want to work on, and then they can create a project. It also, the website has all the description of how to do the project and how to submit the project.
And the deadline is?
The deadline for submission is March 1st, 2016.
Okay, so there's plenty of time
Plenty
out
of
there.
time, yeah.
So kids can get together, choose a topic, and they then make a presentation. They submit their presentation to you. What happens on the day of the summit when all these kids come together?
Well, before that, we actually have selection committee because we receive many more submissions that we can accommodate in a finalist group. So we would contact a student about 2 weeks after they submitted the submission deadline, and we will say to them, well, you were selected as a finalist.
Got it.
And if you are selected as a finalist, which we based on a number of criteria, they get invited to come for the day of the summit.
And if they don't have busing funding, you can help them with busing?
Yeah, our funders, such as National Grid, are very keen to help the schools who do not have budgets for field trips. So they come to the summit, and there they meet other students from all over Long Island who are also already familiar with the topic, and they learned about it through doing their project. And then they get into a work group, and it's like a think tank. Right. And in this think tank, they work with some of the top experts in the field. We will give them the top North Shore LIJ doctor who deals with, prescription drug abuse, or we will give them the top environmentalist, such as Adrian Esposito of Citizens Campaign for the Environment.
I saw that last year.
Yeah, we will give them a top scientist in the environmental sciences. So then they work on solutions, and they present those solutions that they developed in their workshop at the summit at the last
Just out of
session.
curiosity, is there an interest in a continuing relationship after the summit?
Sure, it's through social media that people stay, but we actually, I forgot to mention, we have North Shore LIJ, Northwell now, created specifically for the Youth Summit, paid internships within their system. So finalists and winners in particular compete for a number of internships. Last year we had 7 internships, and they can be placed to any hospital or any research institute. And that's very popular. So this students stay in touch with our funders and organizations, and then they can typically they go on to really wonderful Ivy League universities and do their stuff there.
So I would like to put a call out to our viewing audience. More sponsors would be welcomed. If you like what you hear about this Youth Summit, can people come and visit and just sit in the gallery and watch?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We quite welcome if you are a sponsor, if you are a school teacher, you are interested how it goes. Come, please let me know that you are coming. Right. My email is rogersn, which is ROGERSN, as in Natalia or Nancy, at Dowling, DOWLING.edu.
Right.
Or call me, 631-244-3116.
All right, I went last year. I was blown away. I sat in on Adrienne Esposito's workshop. She was working on microplastics in the environment. It was very interesting. So if you're out there and perhaps you want to go this year, see what it's all about firsthand, and then perhaps you can be a sponsor, put up an award for the kids, and just be part of the educational experience. Ben, over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, as we start to wrap up, how many, you must have received some extraordinary submissions in the past. Would you care to tell our audience about some of these great submissions that you received?
Well, I just want to talk about the outcome in terms of we are blown away by the quality. You know,
Yeah.
some of it is in energy. You know, new methods of deriving fuel cells and so on. It's
Seems very
scientific.
impressive,
Yeah, it's very
yeah.
impressive. What is the most impressive, though, is the level of engagement that students experience, and you can see how the leadership skills.
They care about what they do.
Yeah, they care about what they do. They are leaders in their communities, and they work together. And what we want to see really is the outcome of the summit is that for the first time, some students meet really top people in their fields, and that inspires them to become the top people themselves. And so the ultimate outcome of the summit is that high school students go on to the best educational institutions, and then they benefit our nation through their leadership skills and their knowledge.
Is there a grade level that has the greatest participation? Does it tend to pull the lower high school grades?
It depends on the teachers, really which grade levels they teach. So we have every level of high school that participates.
Right.
And you know, we had a number of 15-year-olds win top awards. It will be interesting for you to know that people at 15 years old can be very, very creative.
Yes.
At 16, you know, and they are not set yet into this very narrow parameters of what they should do.
Right. So I hope you found this discussion of interest. From my perspective as a career teacher, educator, it's a fantastic opportunity for kids, for teachers to get involved in Long Island citizen science and leadership, economics, business. It's just has so many different facets. It's fascinating.
So to end off, like, obviously this is a great program. What are your hopes and dreams for the near future?
Oh, I hope to see more highly talented young people and them having a very good time learning about issues and working with each other to really help our nation and help the world to be in a much better socio-economical, socio-medical, technology, and community shape.
So for those high school students out there who are thinking, what can I do? How can I help? Here's a way to get involved and to put your creative juices to work and get involved in local environmental science, tech opportunities. They're here, Long Island Youth Summit. Very cool.
All right, so thank you, Dr. Rogers, for joining us
Thank you
today.
so much.
Thank
This
you
was
very
wonderful.
much, Mr. Suchman.
I'm very excited.
Thank you very much, Ben. It was very nice to meet you. It was great.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
And we'll see you on the next edition of SciTech Long Island.